Hey guys, Blow Up the Art here, and today I have an awesome unboxing on the... Did not work. Hey guys, Blow Up the Art here, and today I have an awesome unboxing on the Party City 2023 12-foot Wendigo. Now I managed to acquire this item recently when I was visiting Calgary alongside Awesome Alex. You may have noticed this in one of the shorts he posted, but I actually did end up purchasing this thing. They had it on clearance for $400, originally $600 Canadian, so I couldn't let up the opportunity, especially because this guy's become kind of rare now because it was only ever really sold at Party City. It's a lot more common as of now because Halloween Costumes is now carrying it, and I've seen quite a lot more people owning this thing now, but originally it was a bit more of a rare 12-footer. So I'm very happy to own this thing. This thing looks absolutely amazing. I did see it in person. Unfortunately, it wasn't working because the display model was like 2 or 3 years old. I imagine this is the only one that store had, and they haven't sold it for 2 or 3 years, so it's been moved around quite a lot. I'm hoping it all works. I can't return it if not, so we'll see. But you know, SVI is pretty good with their customer service, so if anything doesn't work, shouldn't be too bad to fix it. So without all that out of the way, let's get into unboxing this guy and setting him up. Okay, let's start cutting the tape here. Now, as of recording this, I've only ever seen a couple reviews on this guy, and most of them are on the new model sold at Halloween Costumes. I've yet to see any actual real thorough unboxings on what the inside of the box looks like, so this is going to be pretty interesting for me. Usually when I buy a lot of items, I'm pretty late to the game, so I end up watching a couple of unboxings. So I have basically no idea what to expect the inside of the box to look like storage-wise and such. But we'll see. Hopefully it's pretty easy to put back in the box, and like I said, this thing has been in the store I bought it from for probably 2 or 3 years, so I can only hope that nothing got wrecked in that time. But let's open it up and see what it looks like. So the box is pretty thin. Would not recommend standing the prop up against it to set them up. Hard to see actually a little bit of rust there, that's concerning. Just a tiny little dab. The parts are a little bit scuffed, I imagine, just from being jumbled around so much. But we got, starting off here, the decently welded, not the best, but not too bad. Alright, this thing's stuck. We got the hip loop. One half of the base here. I do own 2 of the SVI style 12-footers, that being the Hovering Witch and Jack Skellington, being a 13-footer actually. But this is piece A. It's probably the larger half of the base. It's actually pretty decent size. It's obviously in 2 pieces. So this is our first part. Next we have these 2 leg poles, and these things are actually a little bit thicker than I thought they would be. Now, like I said, I do own some of these bigger props, and I do not remember them being quite this thick, but they are very nice, and it has 2 supports here because of the way the the moose or the deer-like feet are arranged on this guy, so it actually does bend an extra angle, so that's pretty cool. Here's the other leg. One's labeled C, one's labeled D. Weirdly enough, it seems the other half of the base is at the bottom. I'm not sure why they did that, but I guess it's just easier to sandwich it together like that. But we got one of the leg foams and the other leg foam, both labeled G, obviously pretty much identical. We have this back piece, pretty nice. The weld center actually pretty good. Part labeled W. This might be one of the animatronics that has the most pieces that I own actually. Next up here we have what looks to be his hip loop. I'm not sure how many hip loops this guy has, but I can only imagine there's maybe 1 or 2 to fill out the body section. We also have one of his antlers, and I was a little worried about these. These are actually much thinner than I assumed they would be. Very thin. blow mold, but that does make it easier for the head motor, I suppose. No cracks, no severe paint chipping or anything, so that's great. There's actually some wet paint inside of the bag, so it makes me wonder what kind of heat this guy must have been stored in inside the store, but still very nice molds. The paint job is very good on it. Here we have his other antler. Yet again, same idea. No cracks from what I can see. A little bit of paint smearing, but not bad. Next up, we have both of his arms. One labeled P, the other labeled O. This one appears to be stuck on the bed. There we go. We have his hands. Now, I'm not totally sure where these hands come from. Some people are saying it's Inferno pumpkins. I think they are. I don't own any of the Inferno pumpkin or Inferno deadwood. It's definitely very similar. I'm not quite sure if it's identical sculpt. Obviously, it's different because it has the fork hook on the end here with a cotter pin hole, which is nice. I hope this guy has quite a lot of cotter pins because I know he has a lot of fork and prong connectors. But here's one hand. Here is the other one. And here we have his massive hunchback piece, which is actually zip tied to his head. There's actually a lot of zip tied components. So I'm gonna quickly cut these and then we're gonna get back to unboxing it. So I ended up just moving the camera a little closer here so we could get a better look at the insides. But over here we have his pretty big shoulder frame. Very nice, very nicely welded. I haven't actually owned a prop with like a shoulder frame this big. You can see one of them has a very small snap lock and one of them has a very large snap lock. So we'll see how he goes together, but looks very, very interesting. Then of course in here we have the best part, the head, with not a bad paint job. I know some of these usually have pretty mediocre paint jobs on the teeth, but mine actually looks pretty good. I love the eyes, the kind of cherry red looking eyes. They look really good in some of the dark photos I've seen, but this guy is awesome. Don't like the fact they put the sticker there. That might be a pain to remove. No? Okay, actually pretty easy. It's cool. There is his head with a waterproof connection for the eyes, which is lovely. Next we have both his feet. Now these are actually really thick blow molds, and that's what I like to see for the feet parts. Not that it's like the clown shoe problem where someone might step on them, it's just so small. But very nice, very thick. Definitely thicker than I thought they were going to be. So that is wonderful. Both identical too. Just a very nice detail on this guy. Next up we have most of his clothing here with the fur. Very nice looking fur actually. I do also like the detailing on the shirt. I knew he had some detailing, but it's kind of hard to see in person, so hopefully when I have him set up here it might be a little easier to see. I don't know. Got some ropes and stuff in there too, so some nice clothing. We also have the rest of his clothing, this being mainly his pants and his pant fillers here with the landscaping fabric. Next we have his control box piece, which is very nicely welded. I do quite like this. And the cover for the control box, which is just wonderful because it protects it even more. Obviously outdoor rated, and with the volume knob control cover too, which is very nice. Cover for the Try-Me jack. This is actually pretty cheap rubber though. But yeah, there is the control box. Very nice. No external speaker port, which is kind of sad because this guy's got really cool audio. But still very nice outdoor rated connections and a sensor. One of the last pieces in here we have is his mechanism with some rubber covering. Actually that is, never mind, that is part of the base. This is the mechanism here. The wire is stuck underneath, but no big issue. There we go. Very nice. Definitely more rudimentary looking than I was hoping for, but it does have some very nice connections. Already a little rusty, yet again a little bit concerning, but not like it's going to completely fall apart. Just some rust from the insides of the moving pivots here, the neck, but still very nice. This is where his suspension wires attached to, I believe, and then the rest of the mechanism there. So very cool, very nice. He's definitely not like as big as a lot of 12-footers, but still very, very cool. Some of the last pieces here include the base poles, and what I can only imagine is probably the pole for his guide wire supports in here. I'll cut that open later, but I imagine this is probably the poles for the base. And basically our final piece before the instructions and the adapter and stuff, we have, well, here's the instructions and the adapters, 2 screws to hold the antlers, and I think they give you an extra one. They're actually painted brown, which is nice to blend it. It looks to be probably roughly 5 or 6 cotter pins, and then the guide wires, and then obviously here's his outdoor rated adapter. And then we get to the final piece being his other half of his base. So that is all for the unboxing portion, and now we will get to setting him up. So before we get started on the setup, here's basically all the parts to the 12-foot Wendigo. We have the 2 halves of the base labeled A and B. We have the 2 main leg poles labeled C and D. We have the 2 feet labeled E. The other leg poles labeled F. Some more of the pants filling. We got the foams. We got the filling for the thighs of the legs, and we have the pants. Over here we have the back form, the shoulder form, the hip loop, the adapter, the guide wires, cotter pins, and screws, the main torso module, the control box, the pole for the guide wires, the head, the 2 antlers, the 2 hands, the 2 arms, all the base poles, the fur, the shirt, and your stakes. And that is about all the pieces. So let's get started on the assembly. So our first step here obviously is we're going to take the 2 halves of the base labeled A and B, and we are just going to snap lock them together. Now this can be a little bit difficult. It does require quite a lot of lining up, but you just slide it in like so, and then we will just snap them in together like so. Be proven a little bit difficult. We will just lay it down. This is actually the wrong way, I believe. It is meant, no wait, I might be wrong. Believe it is this way, but we will see here in a second. Okay, so I was correct. Then we will just take leg pole D over here and snap lock it in. And then we'll take leg pole C and snap lock it in. Next we'll take both feet labeled E, and we will just slide them all the way down. They do sit relatively well in there for the most part. Like so. Then we'll take leg poles F and just snap lock them in to the top, like so. Now we'll take our leg foams, be sure to slide them over, careful not to poke any holes in them or anything. Kind of want it all the way down to the feet. Does actually work very nice for filling at the bottom. Now we'll take the pants labeled, I don't know, I think it's H somewhere. No, it doesn't say on here. And we will just slide them over the legs. There we go. I will say this is actually some of the nicest pant material or just clothing material in general I've seen on an outdoor rated prop. But next we will take the other filling pieces for the legs. I'm not totally sure how these things work. I'm just gonna see how it goes. It's a bit of a weird material for sure. It's kind of like a landscaping fabric or a very thick felt. I'm not sure how low they're supposed to go down. I imagine just past snap locks, and I can only imagine that this is supposed to be the top piece, but I guess we'll see. And there we go. Got the filling in there like such. It does look very, very nice indeed. It does fill them out very well. Okay, next step. Now this is when the instructions recommend you lay down on the box. Personally, I'm just going to attach the hips here first just to give it a bit more structure as I lay it down. But I am just going to slide it onto here like so. It's going to be kind of finicky. Very tight fit, like so. I would also recommend personally that you put the sensor in now. Yet again, you can do this when it's laid down, or you can do it like I am doing it right now. And there we go. Velcro it in. And then we'll just slide the pants up a little bit more and put it on the hip loop. Never want to forget that step. It could be annoying when you do. It's symmetrical, so I don't think it matters which way you put it on. It's quite the tight thing, but there we go. Now I'll just put the wires here for now, and I will slide the leg filler and the rest of the pants up. Looking wonderful. And now we're gonna lay this thing down. Okay, before we get to the next step of the process, which is obviously assembling the top piece, I'm also going to, in the next clip, attach the adapter, because I did forget to do that. It would have been a lot easier when he was stood up, but that's fine. And you can see here I've laid down on the table. Now this is always kind of a better option than the boxes when assembling these 12-footers. But especially for this guy, I'd recommend it. He has a very, very cheap box, and whilst I was unboxing it, it did break. So not very stable at all. I know another haunter named Jaden the Haunter was setting up this guy, did a review, and it fell over and he broke his hip loop on his. So yeah, it's not always the best option, but if you have a table or any surface or anything, or the chair really would work too, just about anything to prop this guy up against assembling it, you are much, much better off than trying to use that very, very cheap box. Now, I'm not sure about the Halloween costumes one, if it comes in a better box. I highly doubt, but personally, if you have this Party City one especially, definitely try and prop it up against something else. Okay, there we go. That took quite a lot of playing with, but I did manage to get the adapter in there. Now we're just going to attach the torso piece. And like so. I'm going to also attach the wires while I'm at it, and then plug it in. Next step here is we're going to attach the shoulder frame. Now, like I said, mine was actually probably in storage for a couple of years, kind of thrown around a Party City. So this part is a little dented, but that doesn't really matter, and it's all held together. None of these welds have broken off or anything, so that is great. But we are just going to snap lock it in. It has one very tiny snap lock and one big one. And we're going to snap it in like that. This one I don't believe actually has a snap. So next step here is going to be to put on the shirt, and I may or may not have made a pretty big mistake, because I probably should have put this on before the whole shoulder contraption here, but we'll see. Maybe it velcros on the back. No, okay, well, we're just going to pretend like that didn't happen, and just put it on there. I'll take this whole thing off, and then we'll slide on the shirt. So yet again, we're just going to forget that ever happened, and we are going to slide this on. So make sure that you put the shirt on before the shoulder frame. I probably should have known better by now, but I kind of thought it might have velcroed off all the way. But there we go, the shirt's on, and we will just reconnect these wires again and pull the whole shirt up over the shoulders. Again, just gonna pull this thing up. It's also a very nice outdoor rated fabric, just like the pants. I'm actually very happy with this. It's unfortunate this guy has fur on him. I mean, it does add some very nice detail, but it is not very waterproof, so you might have it getting pretty gross by the end of the season. Okay, we got the shirt mostly all velcroed up. You kind of want to leave a little bit of space, because next we're going to put on the arms. Next up, we're going to put this arm on. Now this one's labeled O. It is his left arm, I believe. So we're just going to slide up the sleeve, make sure you have your cotter pins on hand, and then put it on. You'll now take the other arm, slide it up the sleeve again. Now, I've run into a little bit of a problem here because they're both touching the ground, so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide this whole thing up onto the table so that we can attach the hands and the head next. Next two steps, which make sure you do this before you put the costume all velcroed together, is to take the back form and slide it in. I almost forgot it. Put it into the prong. I believe it has a cotter pin. No? Okay, no cotter pin on this, strangely enough. And then we're going to take this. This is very crucial. This is for the guide wires. And we're just going to slide it in and snap it into place. Then next step, I actually am going to take the guide wires and attach it. Okay, I kind of had to untangle them there, but we'll take the guide wires, simply loop it through and attach them to the base. Here we go. That took me way too long. But now we will simply attach the head and the hands and the fur, and that is about all of it. Okay, so just quickly here, I am going to attach the antlers. I believe I'm going to need a screwdriver. I don't think they provided one with it. I also don't know where I put my bag of cotter pins, so that's not very good. Okay, so next step, we're going to attach the antlers to the head. Now, this does require you to bring your own screwdriver, so be mindful of that. One other thing I really like about this design is how the way the antlers slide onto the skull here is actually pretty reminiscent of how real deer antlers grow off the skull, so kind of thought that was an interesting detail. Pretty relevant, but mine's being a little bit difficult, but kind of just slide it on, wiggle it a little bit. Kind of one of those steps you only really want to do once, but you can hear something kind of cracking a little bit, and that is alarming. Now, I'm 90% sure this is the correct antler now. And there we go, managed to screw in both antlers. It was quite the process and quite frankly pretty annoying, but got both of them in now and it looks awesome. Now I'm going to snap lock the head into the body. And there we go, the wire is attached. The clothing here definitely requires some adjusting, but we are almost done. Just going to be the hands, which I am going to personally attach once I prop them up. We'll put on the fur, and that will be the assembly. Well, here he is, guys, the Party City 2023 12-foot Wendigo. This thing is absolutely jaw-dropping. This thing is amazing. It feels way bigger in person than I remember it feeling in the store. It's awesome to finally see his animation in person because, like I said, the store model's animation was busted. The audio is absolutely amazing, and I'll save that for the demos. But this thing is just amazing. It feels incredibly tall, too. Like it feels like it should be 12 foot to the top of the head. I did measure, though. It is 10.5 feet, but he just feels huge. Like, I had 13-foot Jack here last year, and he only was, like, that tall. So, like, the antlers add a lot to him. Unfortunately, the quality of the plastic for the head and the antlers isn't the best, but I think they'll pay off better with the motors, and you actually hear them, they're not struggling too much right now. I did repose the arms a little bit because I'm not a huge fan of how they were symmetrical, so they're posed a little bit because it's just the wire. So that's a nice thing. You can pose this guy pretty much in the arms to quite a wide variety with it just being the wire. Just be careful not to snap it. I love the addition of the leaves, just adds that much more detail. In fact, I'm tempted to buy maybe a couple more fake ones from like dollar store or something just to add to them. I love this kind of not creepy cloth, like a mesh netting they used. It looks awesome, very ghostly, very realistic from a distance, not as much up close. The fur looks awesome. It has it all the way down the spine too, to kind of look like he's torn open the shirt. And I guess he's supposed to, I mean, the mythology of Wendigos are complex to say the least, but I think the interpretation here was that it was maybe a human and he transformed, or he's wearing human clothing to impersonate. It's a whole thing, but I do quite like it. The clothing is a little annoying to adjust in pants and stuff, but it's very thick, it's very well filled out. He won't deform at all in like the wind. He won't have the bone collector problem where he's got super skinny legs or anything. The feet look awesome. I just love the fur. I know it's going to be, you know, pretty matted after a couple rainstorms, but honestly, I'm kind of fine with that. It's already it's very soft right now, so you don't have that softness to it, but it won't look that bad matted because he is supposed to be a monster after all. But the antlers are awesome, the head's awesome, everything's just amazing on this guy. The quality's great. As you would normally expect from an SVI 12-footer, the guide wires are good. The back's part of mine kind of pushes out a bit in the butt area, kind of like a convulsing nurse. But he is amazing. I love the hands. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if it is Inferno's hands. It probably is. I'm not totally sure, but it's definitely a different paint job, I think. I think it's definitely like a lighter brown than Inferno is, and definitely different than Inferno Deadwood. But overall, this guy is just phenomenal, amazing. I have no complaints with him at all. Love the price I got him for. I haven't seen Sky in the Dark yet, so stay tuned for that in the demos too, but I can only imagine he's going to look amazing with the right lighting. The only problem I have in mind is the sensor. I tried to put it on sensor mode and it wasn't quite working, so maybe that's just a loose connection. Not too worried about it though. It's not a big problem until I have the haunt. I'm probably just going to end up taking him down tonight anyway, but he will be awesome. He will kind of be in this garden area here. I won't spoil it for the haunt, but he's going to be awesome for sure. Just all around an amazing prop, by far one of my favorite 12-footers, probably has the most animation out of all of them. If you can find this guy, or if you're really willing to pay the price at Halloween Costumes, I 100% recommend him. He is amazing. He's got all the outdoor stuff, all the outdoor connections. I really see this guy lasting. Maybe a couple more holes for the cotter pins would have been nice on like the hip loop and stuff, but besides that, I have like no other complaints with this thing. The face looks good. I don't even care it doesn't have mouth movement. The audio is just phenomenal. And the only problem you're really going to have with it being outside is a wind, but that's a problem with any 12-footer. And maybe some of that fur detailing. But besides that, this thing is amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Stay tuned for those demos. Stay tuned for the rest of my 100 Nights of Halloween. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Goodbye.